Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
And I'm pretty sure the title I used for this episode, we've already used for an episode in the past.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, well, I just titled it, We Have Such Grawlix to Show You, because I don't know what else we're going to talk about. But
Oh, you're right.
Uh,
We're raising hell tonight is what you're saying.
that's right. Hey, everybody. We're back from last
Yay.
week.
Yeah.
We're back again still.
7 days can't hold us back.
That's right. 7 days. We're going to... I don't think I ever watched Rings. This is a tangent all of a sudden because, you know, this is going to be a short episode. But, you know, they made a newer, at this point it's probably like 6 years old. They made a newer Ring movie, right? Rings, or, you know, at least an American version.
okay.
And they had to like reflect, I don't know, modern, like, I don't know, attention span or how everything moves faster in the modern age. The ring girl doesn't waste 7 days anymore. It was like 3 or something like that. They cut it down, like just a weird arbitrary thing because life moves faster nowadays.
Yeah.
This isn't 2000 or whatever it was. The Ring came out.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what's going on. We're going to talk about, I know Melanie and I will mention it. We'll talk a little bit about Hellraiser. We need a segment for Jesse's, like, what he watched on Disney Plus because Randy and Melanie currently don't have access to Disney Plus segment.
Mm-hmm.
And something else. Little Demon. Maybe I'll mention Little Demon. We're only a few episodes into that. It's okay. I mentioned it.
Yeah.
But first, how are you two?
Tired. It's a long week. It's a long week.
Yeah.
Jesse's tired. Melanie's peachy.
Yeah. Don't worry, it'll be a short episode. So.
We keep saying that.
I was gonna say, if nobody's tuned in, oh, we lost one of them. I was gonna. Well, you know what? I'm not gonna say it now. They don't deserve it.
Okay.
Anybody who's watching it, who watches or hears this at any point, they know the lore. They know the Grawlix lore. They know what happens when we say that. When we say it's gonna be a short episode.
Yeah. So let's not. Instead, let's make it short. Let's go.
So what have you got? Hey, Jesse, wait, you been doing anything interesting, or you been watching anything, or wait, what do you got? Anything? I know you've been busy with work and stuff.
Like
Just
what have I
anything.
been watching? Or is this the segue into She-Hulk talk?
I don't know.
Is that what this is?
I don't know what it is. Well,
Oh.
Initially it was. I was like, wait, but maybe we have activities we've been doing that might be fun to talk about. I don't, but maybe Jesse does.
I've been trying the Inktober thing, and I've fallen way off of it. But like I was trying to do a Meridian 59 theme, so like that means nothing to most people. But if you go to meridian59.com, it's an old game and it's still around. Like we're still doing it. It's on Steam now, and I don't know. I've been involved in that community for a long time, so I thought, you know what, that's what I'm enjoying drawing right at the moment. So that's what I'm going to do. And so I think I've done like eight or 9. I think I'm on 9 now. So I've done about 8 of them. What's today? Oh, like the 13th. So I'm a little behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, that's how these Inktober things usually go, is like I get as far as I can and then that's that.
It's all right.
Inktober, at first I was like, is he going to get tattoos or something? I don't get it.
A new tattoo every day.
That would be
Yes.
kinda
I've
awesome.
never had a tattoo, so I'm going to get 31 of them.
But you've got to
Yeah.
ink them. You've got to ink them
I'm
yourself.
gonna ink them myself using a needle.
Yeah.
Like like the tribal tattoo method, where you just
Use
like,
whatever you
tap,
got
tap,
handy.
tap that ink right in.
A sharp stick and some ink. That's all you need.
That's how Jesse poisoned himself.
For October.
Yes, the darkest timeline.
Well, I've been, I guess, along those lines, but far less work because Inktober, man, that sounds, that sounds like a lot of work. Like every
I
every
don't know if
day?
it's supposed to be. You know, it's like supposed to be kind of sketchy and fun and whatnot. But like
Right.
I never do it right. You know, like I get halfway into it, I'm like, this would look great in color. That's not the point.
Right.
Ink drawings are like black and white.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay though. Like, cause it's maybe an excuse to do some creative things. So in that respect, it doesn't matter if you finish it or you go like overboard and whatever. Like,
Right.
it's getting you doing things.
But
Yeah,
if
I
you
probably wouldn't be so far behind if I would just do an ink drawing. Because, like, some of these, like, the time that I spent making it digital was like, oh, you could have done another black and white by now. But, oh well.
When you do that inking, does that include like the like texture lines and stuff like that?
Yeah, like the hatching
Okay.
and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, just wondering if that was like a separate shading type thing that happened afterwards.
Yeah. And I don't know, I've got a very Dr. Seuss style where I'll add hatching even if it doesn't need it, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
That's cool. I've been sharing 31 horror movie recommendations for October. Like I said, not nearly as much.
You've
work
been shared the old Empty Man I saw. I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
we just talked about that one.
Yeah.
Well, on Facebook, people were doing, what was it, last month, I seen Jesse, you and Andrew, maybe? Ben? I don't know. Somebody was doing the
video games,
Video
yeah.
game things.
Yeah.
You know, what are those Facebook, like, it's
Right.
not really a chain letter, but whatever.
A challenge.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
For, something of 10 video games or whatever. And
Right.
so I was like, man, I really enjoy doing that. And so I was like, well, October's here. How about just do something like that, but horror movies? So I've been sharing that on my personal Facebook page, which means nothing to general public people because you can't see that. But I've also been doing it. I mean, it would make sense to do it on the GCU or Grawlix podcast Twitter account, but
Right.
I've been living on the Super Science Twitter account lately. That's kind of where I've been hanging out. So,
Speaking of, I did watch the video and whoa, it goes dark.
Yeah.
It goes dark.
I don't understand why the YouTube algorithm won't pick this one up.
Oh man.
I do get frustrated about it because I'm like, God, I put so much more work in. It's so much like I mean, it's still kind of muddy looking, but it's so much, in my opinion, better than the Rewired music video, which is creeping up on 20,000 views. And this one has been out for over a week and it's like 250 views. And I'm like, why? Maybe people don't like that when it gets real weird and dark and the guy exposes his organs at the end. I'd be like,
Yeah.
and either like, they
There's
kill
this
that
really
family
tense
for no.
moment where it's like, is he gonna kill that kid?
Listen, at least it happens off screen. Spoilers. Yes.
Yeah.
I won't lie. I there were times animating that where I was like, especially the close-ups of the little girl. I was like, I feel a little bad right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and even watching like when I got to see it, I was like, I don't know if you can tell for sure what happened there. To the dad.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but I can't make it any worse. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Don't
Yeah,
do
yeah. She watched it. She's like, I expected him to like with his arms, the totally not Doc Ock character, with his arms to rip somebody in half, and I was like, oh, you missed it. You missed it.
Oh
huh?
yeah, right.
And she's like, oh, you should make that. I was like, I don't want to make it worse. I don't want to make it more explicit.
All right.
Well, I'm glad you watched it. That's kind of why I want to. Man, I can't, but I want to watch people's reactions. I want to see people's reactions to it, especially at a certain point where it just goes weird and kind of dark.
Right.
yeah.
But
It's pretty cool, like having the super huge, like Doc Ock arm and then her running up it. Like that's a cool sequence.
that
Yeah.
was the first sequence I completed in it because that was one of the first. Yeah, that kind of. I mean, whatever. There was the science guy who was like, I am the future. That shot was kind of. I've done a version of that already, but the sequence, that was the idea. The running up along the claw and stuff was kind of the idea that really I built around that for the whole, I guess, story or whatever. I've been calling it narrative, and it's not like it's not, but it's more of a. It's not like a story. It's just a sequence that's actually like cohesive, as opposed to like Rewired was just things happening.
It's like
Yeah.
you're catching a scene that's embedded in a bigger story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you what though, the AI stuff is progressing like so quick.
Yeah.
Like when I did Rewired and people were like, whoa, this I haven't seen anybody using this to like at that, working at that level with this technology. And I was like, oh, cool,
Right.
cool. And then like by the time I finished this video, it took like 4 months. I had to take time off to actually finish the album, but like Disco Diffusion is pretty much like not obsolete, but like Stable Diffusion come out and like just
Right.
kind of blew that away. So there's like some of the beginning and end shots, like the last shots I finished up, I used Stable Diffusion, but like I released it, and then now like Facebook or Meta and Google and other companies are like, text to video is coming, and I'm like, jeez, like okay, great. Now nobody cares. Hey, AI animated thing, and nobody cares anymore.
Yeah. Now it's going to be oversaturated. Like
Yeah.
you were cutting edge, and now it's going to be like everywhere. And
It's so fast how it like
Yeah.
Well,
that's really the video I should make, because people at one point were like, oh, you should do like how a tutorial thing. I don't think I want to do a tutorial, but going from using like just style transfer AI for that video I released earlier this, I don't know, whenever it was. There's 3 videos on there, really, 3 full music videos. How like even at that point the style transfer stuff was like old hat, and I was like actively looking. I was like, man, nothing's progressing. Like, and I think it was COVID. Like people weren't going to colleges and universities, and that's where a lot of these like studies happen, right?
Right.
But from that point where it's just like, that's like cave painting AI, really, like that technology, to where like all of a sudden then like Disco Diffusion and Dolly 2 comes out and Stable Diffusion, and like it's just like boom, 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 all of a sudden, quick progression.
I wish they would do that with like technology, because there's so many things that happen. You get discovered and whatever every day. I read about them, but it takes so long for it to become like something the public can use. You know what I mean? If it ever does.
One thing I've been happy about, if it ever does, right? And if once it does, it's not like paywalled so that it becomes like I don't know, what's the word? A very premium thing that most people can't
Right.
actually access anyway, just in general
Right.
technology.
Right.
And that's kind of been a frustrating thing with some of the AI stuff. That's why Disco Diffusion and then Stable Diffusion being open source was a big deal, because like Dolly 2's got its thing going on, but honestly, since they like implemented their credits model, where I knew they were going to paywall it eventually, it's not that useful to me, man. It's so easy to burn through credits and not get the results you want, as opposed to be able to just generate stuff endlessly. Well, not endlessly, but generate a bunch of stuff. It's so much easier to find stuff to work with that way. But
Yeah.
that's cost prohibitive if it's totally paywalled. Hey.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I know.
I like it. We've been watching some TV, a little bit of TV. We're only like a few episodes in, but we will start watching Little Demon. This is just random, like this is random, like what we've been watching.
Yeah.
On Hulu, and it's an adult cartoon, which like when we were talking about Inside Job, I'm always nervous about those, because Family Guy became extremely successful, so then most adult cartoons look like Family Guy and kind of adopted that lame attitude. But this one, I like this. It's on a whim. We're just like, yeah, let's check this out, because it's basically like the lead character is the Antichrist, and Satan's played by Danny DeVito. Which one's Laura Feinberg, Melanie? Is that the...
I have no idea.
That's the mom, I think. That's Audrey Plaza. I did not even realize that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But whatever. It's like a teenage girl who was the Antichrist didn't know she was the Antichrist, and the father's Satan, and it's sitcom-y, but also like she's the Antichrist, so weird stuff happens, and it's a cartoon, so they can go kind of wild with it. It's fun. It's not amazing. Some of the humor's a little like, but it's enjoyable.
Yeah. It's fun.
So I'm glad I brought that up. What have you been watching, Jesse?
She-Hulk. I watched the She-Hulk finale.
Is it fun?
And it is. It is. I think you guys would like it because it's like, I don't know, it's bonkers and it's weird, and then it hits the whole fourth wall break, and I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be people that argue about who does it better, She-Hulk or Deadpool, but I think they're so totally different that like doesn't matter, Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just it's a really fun take, and it just takes the I don't know, it throws all the internet. It's like they knew going into this the internet backlash that they'd get, and they just play with it and they just have fun with it, like just from the word go. So it's pretty funny.
That's cute.
Have you watched? I have not watched Werewolf by Night. Is that what it is?
I haven't, but I've heard it's really good, and
Yeah, me
I
too.
need to. If I had a little more time, I probably would have tried to do that one, but I haven't.
Maddie D was asking about if I think it was Maddie D was asking if I'd watched that yesterday, and
What's
I
it
hadn't
called?
watched it yet.
What is it?
It's Werewolf by Night, and it's a throwback to those old, like, it would have been right before the Comics Code Authority. So those pulp, like horror comics. It's just like based off of an old one-off pulp comic.
Okay, cool.
I know that Man Thing makes an appearance because I've seen pictures of Man Thing.
wow.
Man thing.
Wouldn't have
Wow.
called that.
Man Thing.
It's such a bad name for a guy.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Giant-sized Man Thing. Whoa.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
But I mean,
Whopping
he's
48 pages. Woof,
he's
double-sized.
he's like, I want Swamp Thing. We got Swamp Thing at home, and there's Man Thing, right? Like he's pretty much one removed from Swamp Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Created by roommates that were living together at the same time, both coincidentally. Oh, that's weird.
Uh-huh.
And I'd also seen somewhere that it was probably some cheeky, like, throwaway line by a Swamp Thing writer, but that apparently somehow, in some way, Man Thing, part of the Green, and it's canon. I don't know how. So I think if you ask DC, like, legal, they'd be like, no. But
You'd think he'd be part
Right.
of the red, though, instead.
because he's Man Thing,
Yeah.
as opposed
He
to
should-
Swamp Thing.
Yeah, he should be, what is that one guy? Is that Animal Man?
Animal Man. Animal Man. Some of these names.
Right.
Man, you'd think these were made for boys years ago when they were children, as opposed to boys when they were men.
You know,
Well,
if
boys
boys
to
can
men.
remember,
Thank you.
boys can remember Bronchiosaurus and Apatosaurus and stuff like that. They can remember a little bit more complex names, I bet.
Then Man Thing.
Yes.
I kind of dig it. Like, I had a second grade girl come up to me, and she drew me a dinosaur, and she was like throwing out all those big dinosaur names. I was like, yeah, girls like dinosaurs. Heck yeah.
Because they're cool. Everybody
Yeah.
likes dinosaurs. Who doesn't like a dinosaur?
I love
I
me a
don't
good
know.
dinosaur.
I don't know. I just was shocked because like it felt like, I don't know. It felt like it was a very gatekeepery, like only boys like dinosaurs kind of thing. It's like,
Right.
So it was just like, I was just like super stoked to get a dinosaur picture from a little girl.
Well, I think traditionally, like, dinosaur toys, for example, those are, back in the day, they're not going to advertise like Barbie's first dinosaur toy or something like that. Like it was a boy's toy. But I think that's because they looked, at least our version of them looked like lizards. So,
Right.
Yeah.
but yeah, Yeah, chicks can like.
It's a
dinosaurs.
science dragon.
Yeah, it is a science dragon.
It did suck a lot growing up. Boys always had way better toys than girls did, all the time.
I would agree.
Yeah, I know. Like girls got dolls, and that's about it. That's all we had. Boys had all kinds of like trucks and planes and all kinds of cool stuff that did cool things and lit up and made noises. Yeah, that whatever.
I would agree. Well, but girls get variety of clothes, so we get variety of toys. I remember. Never mind. We're not getting into this conversation again.
Because you want to wear a skirt?
I don't want to wear a skirt, but when I was in high school, I was like, man. And I had a lot of female friends. I was like, you guys have so many options. I got like a shirt and pants. You could wear a blouse. You could wear I don't know, whatever, a skirt, shorts, and pants, and
Right.
there's accessories. Now, of course, I realize like now, none of that looks comfortable. That all looks awful, and
I don't know. Like working in working in a school with predominantly females, it's like on a hot day, like a dress looks delightful. That looks comfortable.
that's true.
Meanwhile, I've got a friggin' polo and khakis, and I'm like, wish I could wear a dress.
A dress does look comfortable. It does.
Even
A
if
big dress, like a skirt,
Right, like a comfy light.
not like a little
type of thing.
a little hot number dress.
This show has gotten weird. Man, this is because
I
it's a
think-
short one, isn't it?
Yep,
I
it's a
think,
short one, so we're talking about just nonsense.
now I think we should normalize guys wearing at least the big flowy pants. They're like samurai type pants. Those. I think that'd be much more comfortable for them. But anyway, I think it's silly to talk about that because even if you gave guys a million options, they wear the same like 3 things all the time anyway. That's what guys do.
That's fair. You're right. You're right.
Well, I also shout out, hey, Matty D, what's going on? He says, try a kilt. Kilts are cool.
Kilts are cool.
I bought a lab coat. I'm not going to wear that in everyday activities, but that is as close to a dress as I own. Because it's long.
I could probably pull off a kilt, but boy, oh boy, would I get crud about it all day long from the boys in my class.
Yeah.
The boys.
Well, you should be
Oh,
like,
the boys. All the sports kids I got.
toxic masculinity, blah blah blah, and then they'll listen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what they do in Scotland? They throw a sword.
You need to get
Yeah.
woke. I don't think I've ever tried that accent before.
Oh, boy.
Paint your
I
face.
did it for freedom.
How is that? Every time Mel Gibson comes up, I know it's got to be getting old at this point, but I'm like, how is he working? How? I was watching. I got into, I'm always on the cutting edge. I got into Key and Peele a little bit. I was watching that for a while on YouTube and HBO Max, right?
Right.
I know that show's old, but I never really watched it before. I don't know why. I was just like, it's funny. It's good.
Yeah.
It's sketch comedy, so of course there's sketches that we'll miss, but I think it's particularly interesting watching now. Like you could tell at least Peele, probably both of them though. Like they're sci-fi and horror nerds. Like you could kind of tell in the sketches they do. So
Oh, yeah. The
Yeah.
valets talk about all sorts of that kind of stuff,
right.
Like,
What was my point with that? What were we so I was watching a few. I didn't mean to hit that again. A few episodes on HBO Max where they have, because the YouTube's got like a bunch of skits. That's where I watch most of it. But HBO Max has the full episodes where they have their like little stand-up interludes. The two of them on a stage, doing like, it's like a very kind of Dave Chappelle Chappelle show format. But the episode must have been from around the time those Mel Gibson tapes came out, and they were talking about it and how like that's like the most racist thing they've ever heard. Like that specific phrase that always that stuck with me obviously stuck with them. And I'm just like, yeah, like that is like, I mean, what, Hulk Hogan like had a tape released and he said some horrible things, but I think Mel Gibson's tape like just above and beyond, right?
They took Hulk Hogan's thing, like because of Hulk Hogan's thing, they took his name off of everything, even the Hall of Fame. You know,
Really?
like yeah,
That's
like they delisted him from the Hall of Fame. It's not like he was revoked or anything. They just didn't list him on anything. And I mean, like they've kind of eventually brought him back, and he's hosted shows and stuff. But like, yeah, like for a while they just kind of struck his name from the record for a while. And meanwhile, Mel Gibson shows up in like leading roles in like Sylvester Stallone's Expendables 2 or whatever.
Right, like he's done. Yeah, he's been in leading roles, and he's definitely not getting the kind of budgets he used to get. But yeah, lead character in movies, and it's like with Jodie Foster and stuff. Like it's like how do you?
Did he even like apologize? Like Hogan at least like apologized and did all this mea culpa kind of stuff, but like
I think it's
Mel Gibson didn't at all.
It's one of the most hateful like expressions I think I've ever heard. It's crazy. Anyway.
I think it's like Voldemort. Like you can like kill him off, but then there's still like some losers who are like, yeah, no, he's great, and then bring him back, and then before you know it, he's like an evil ruler again.
I mean, and I get people will say some crazy stuff when they're mad, but like, holy crap. Like, I feel like there's been people that have definitely been canceled harder for less. How does he keep working? I mean,
Maybe he's just charming. I don't know.
How do you guys feel about like when people are canceled and people are like, oh, you can't watch their old movies now? It's like, how do you guys feel about that? Because that's weird to me.
You know, like,
I don't know about that.
Like the Joss Whedon stuff. It's like, no, I like his old. I like his stuff.
Yeah,
you know, like I can kind of see where I mean, I can see that he's always kind of been horrible.
Right.
It's a hindsight 2020 thing. Like there's no way you could really pick up on it back then, but like now you can look back and be like, oh yeah, he was always kind of shady. But his work is solid, especially from those early days. So I can't just like hate Buffy because Joss is awful, you know, like plus those actors and the other writers, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Because a thing is not just that one person, and that person's performance isn't necessarily have anything to do with the kind of person they are. Like there could be serial killers that paint beautiful paintings doesn't mean the painting is not beautiful just because that guy's a sicko, you know. Or like Kevin Spacey. I love a bunch of Kevin Spacey movies. He should never work again. I'm fine with that, but it doesn't mean that the things that he created in the past weren't good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Matty D says it's a case-by-case basis for him. Will he watch Buffy? Yes. Will he listen to R. Kelly? No.
I think that's a fair point, yeah.
Yeah, I think, especially with something like R. Kelly, I think that kind of highlights an interesting thing of like, well, how much of like, of course, a Joss Whedon thing, like you hear his voice in the writing, like, but it's kind of a thing of like, with Buffy, there are other writers. There's all the actors. There's whatever. There's a lot going on there that's not just Joss Whedon. With R. Kelly, you listen to R. Kelly, it's just R. Kelly, right?
Well, mostly, but yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And a lot of his songs are about a specific thing, and then you find out what he actually is like with that same specific theme, and it's like, whoa, no, I can't listen to this.
Well,
yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about. I didn't really listen to R. Kelly to begin with, honestly. But I would think in songs or in music with lyrics, I should say, you should be able to tell more about you know, as long as they write their own songs about their personalities than you would an actor who's pretending to be somebody else. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or even a director who's using other people to act out his thoughts or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So in that respect, like the original Mad Max movies, man, Still solid. Well, except for that third one's a little iffy. But you know, that kind of thing. It's like you can't. Whatever. They're not going to erase Mad Max. Mel Gibson's still getting work. But my thinking was like, I'll watch older Mel Gibson movies, but like, I don't need to watch new Mel Gibson movies. Like,
well, it's also like Chevy Chase, you know,
right?
Like Christmas Vacation. Good luck getting anybody to stop watching that movie. But like, if you see new Chevy Chase stuff, dude's pretty awful. So, new Chevy Chase stuff, probably not going to support.
Yeah. Or who's that one guy that went crazy after he played Flash? After he played the Flash, that guy.
Oh, Ezra
Yeah.
Miller.
Yeah, Ezra Miller. Yeah,
And they're still going forward with that movie. But
Which is crazy to me.
He admitted he has problems, and he's owing up to them. I don't know, man. Some of the stories that came out about him, it's like, yeah, no, he clearly has problems, but like also,
it's
They're
okay to
severe
have
problems.
consequences for those problems too.
Right.
You know,
those are
Exactly.
severe problems. I think, and I mean, because all through that there were news stories. WB is still going forward with Flash movie. They're not going to remove Ezra Miller, and of course, at this point with WB, who knows? Like, who knows what they're going to do? They could do anything. They pretty much like gutted Adult Swim, or not Adult Swim. Well, they gutted Cartoon Network recently, and they're going to like basically combine the department with Warner Brothers Animation. So people are upset about
What?
that.
Are they insane? Yeah, because they're completely different.
I mean, they're going to keep the brand, of course, but for all intents and purposes, they pretty much gutted. Like, they got rid of so many people.
that's a terrible idea.
But I
Because,
think,
you know, I mean, like Adult Swim, that's such a good brand. Like, why
Right.
would you mess with that
right.
just to save a buck?
I think they have too much invested in the Flash movie. Like, forget Batgirl. This isn't Batgirl money. This is Flash. This is Batman money, right? They have too much invested in the Flash movie to like, I don't know, cancel it or try to replace Ezra Miller in every scene. I don't know.
Take off his face and put on like a cutout of.
His jawline's too intense.
It's
they can't find anybody whose face matches the shape of his head. It's too intense.
it seems strange to me that, like, I don't know, the backlash and the boycotts that you're going to get from this Flash movie now. You might as well release Batgirl.
Yeah.
Right.
You're going to make at least the same amount of money, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's enough incels out there that are just like, dang the man, we're watching this Ezra Miller movie because he gets us.
Does he?
I don't know that he does because they'd
I
have
know, yeah.
because they'd say that and then he'd be like, they gets us because he's one of those guys and those typically incels typically don't gel with they them. You know what I mean?
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Get
That's
woke,
true.
go broke.
That's right, man. Yeah, this is so problematic and strange.
Right, right. Well, listen, we should segue into Hellraiser at some point in time for no reason.
This is as close to a Hellraiser discussion as we're going to get at, probably.
Yeah.
So Melanie and I watched this. It's on Hulu. It's a new Hellraiser movie. It's called Hellraiser. I want to, Melanie,
Yes.
what did you think of this new Hellraiser movie?
It was okay. I hated the main character's hair. I hated it with a passion. I was unhappy, but maybe you're supposed to be, I'm sure, with some of their choices and who lives and who doesn't.
Okay.
And I thought the plot of the bad guy
oh,
was a little on the lame side, but whatever. Not, you know, yeah, that character's gonna be lame no matter how you make him. You know what I mean?
okay.
Okay.
The human villain.
Yes, the human villain.
because obviously we're not Pinhead necessarily, but Pinhead's never like the main like villain, right?
Right.
Like Pinhead's
Right.
just
They're never like the active. They're just
Yeah.
like the thing that you expect to see.
they're a force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're the zombies of a zombie movie, whereas you've got the villain is usually some d-bag, you know.
Right.
I like this quite a bit, and maybe partially because, I mean, I guess whatever, it is technically like a remake, but it's not a remake in that we're going to remake the first movie. It's that we're just going to do another movie based on this story. And apparently, I am not that super familiar with the original novella. That's how you have to say that word, novella.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to say it like that. Apparently, this is this is very accurate, or somewhat accurate to it, as opposed, I don't know, it makes me more interested in a way in the original Hellraiser movie, because it's like that was written and directed by the author, by Clive Barker, the author, and he totally like sidelined all the Hellraiser lore, the Cenobites, like they're just, and that's part of why I've always liked it, is they're just there, right? They don't really get into what their deal is. They're like they're not even there most of the time. It's this weird love story, this twisted love story is the focus of the original Hellraiser movie. But apparently the book isn't necessarily even like that. The book goes into all the Hellraiser type lore and stuff. And so this movie is the Hellraiser type lore and stuff. And there's none of that, like, there's no Frank and Julia. None of that story is here. It's probably the rest of whatever made up that book, you know? Mm-hmm. So I liked it, though, because I think if you watched the second Hellraiser, you probably know all, basically, how most, I mean, this is different, but, like, all the lore that they held back for the second Hellraiser movie is kind of like
this one
explored in this movie.
The thing that I like the most about this, and it's, you know, they talk about it, and I guess they kind of show it in the second movie. I don't know that they really do so much in any of the other ones, but this one did a really good job of illustrating how it's another dimension. You know what I mean? Like the way that the world kind of like unfolds in certain areas and becomes something else. I really like that aspect of this more, like, that was like my favorite part of it, I think.
Yeah, it's more apparent because, like, and I haven't seen all the sequels. I've seen a bunch of them, but not all of them. And maybe, again, I think part of the reason maybe I like this as much as I do is in my opinion, after the first one, the bar is so low for a Hellraiser movie. And it just got lower and lower and lower.
I thought the second one was good.
I don't know that I've ever actually watched it all the way through.
Really?
I know what happens. I've seen it in YouTube videos, but I don't think I've ever watched it all the way through. Oh. I watched the third one. It's because it seems like, what is it with franchises? Maybe it's because like the crappier installments of the franchises are cheaper to license, maybe. But it seems like the third one was the one that would get put on TV with CD the DJ and all that stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Like the original one, they do the thing where like the room changes and like the wall opens. But Melanie, you're right. It is much more like apparent that it's like doorways to another dimension that warp the environment.
It's not just a hallway that's blue.
It's not just a hallway that's blue. It's I guess sometimes it's a hallway that opens out of the wall or a hole in the ground, but with a shimmery light a little bit behind it. But not even just that. Not a hardcore spoiler, but so, you know, when the Cenobites show up, they're come to take somebody, right? And like, usually a wall opens up and they come out and it's creepiness. And they had the weird swinging like wood plank thing at one point. I'm like, that's a classic. I don't know what that is, but it's in all of them. You got to have the creepy wood swinging thing. But there's a scene like that where with a character who's in a moving van, and I'm like, how are they going to do that? And it was I thought that was super cool. It's like,
It
oh yeah,
was.
no, they could just warp like the reality in a way so that it don't matter. You can be in a moving van; they're still going to come take you. And I thought that was super cool.
It was super cool. Yeah, that was one of the best shots, really, of the whole movie, I thought.
Yeah. But, and the story was fine. The story was okay. It wasn't great. Like it is, I guess, negative marks in that it is very focused on the plot and specifically the box and the
Yeah.
Cenobites and like how that works. What's the whole deal? It's very focused on that. And to kind of reiterate my point about the original is not. and
No.
and so I don't know. I guess that's kind of a step down, but then again, that's kind of super interesting in a way. So like, why not? That's fine. Let's focus on it. Most of the characters aren't great. Some of them are likable. Some of them aren't. But like, they're not annoying, I guess, to watch.
Right.
So
Right.
that's good.
They do make stupid mistakes that I'm like, why are you making that stupid mistake? It's obvious. But
Yeah, that's true.
you know what's really amazing?
Oh, are you trying to segue out of this already?
Unless you're not ready to.
No, we got to talk about Cenobites real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
That's the main. Listen, this is a Hellraiser. You got to talk about Cenobites,
Okay, well then do it.
especially. So, I'm 50-50 on some of the Cenobite designs. I think they're all over designed. And in some cases, I think it's not necessarily great. Like they're just way over designed.
They put-
Some
yeah.
of them, and I'm sorry, what?
No, go ahead.
I don't want to interrupt you. I talk too much. What are you saying?
I was just gonna say, yes, I agree they're over designed. I thought for a moment, but I was wrong. I think that they were having Cenobites kill themselves, or like somebody, because there was a scene where somebody has, let's say, lung cancer, and then there's the Cenobite that comes after them has big like exhaust things coming out of their back and like wheezes as they walk. But
Oh, right.
I don't think that in the end, I don't think that's what they were actually doing.
That would have been interesting. Like
Would've
if they
been
take people, make them into Cenobites,
And then
and then somehow send them because whatever different dimensions send them to kill themselves. That's interesting.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Huh.
That scene in particular, I didn't mind the wheezy one once it got into the like when it was like the scene got kind of dark, but like there's two that show up before that in a bright hallway, and they're very colorful and they look super plastic, just super
Yeah.
plastic. And I think if they did like gooped them up maybe a little bit or something, it would have been fine. But yeah, sometimes some of the Cenobites look very plasticky, and I did not dig that. I was like, that's like a weird.
So they weren't like the same 5 or 6 Cenobites that we usually see.
There are. Sorry.
I was gonna say they definitely had besides the pinhead chick, they had the chatterer. I don't know about other than that.
Yeah, there were some of the staples. Pinhead obviously. They had the Chatterer, which was I don't know, one of my favorites, I guess, from the original because it's weird, and he's okay. He's okay. He doesn't look too bad. The one I hate though, the redesign I hate. So in the original, there's one that I think in the first movie they just credited as like female Cenobite, but it has the weird ring thing like through the jaw, and then like the neck is exposed, as the skin is stretched out to there. I hate the new design of that one because it's like this weird, huge. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a hell nun or something. This huge, weird like skin flap thing, like flap with the ring that goes like that. And then like the throat is opened, but like it's so stretched far, and it looks like it's over the top. It looks. I don't like that one. I think that one's the worst design of all of them. It's awful.
That's
the
just
one.
Cassandra from that one episode of Doctor Who. Moisturize
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, a little bit, sure. Yeah, it's no. If you took Cassandra and then mixed her with one of the nun cats from that one in the hospital.
Yeah. So
Cassandra
all Ninth
was in that one,
Doctor,
too. Yep.
all 10th Doctor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Cenobite now.
You know what? Not exactly, but I almost felt like they were trying to do like steampunk type stuff with them. You know?
Kind of. I mean, definitely. There's this one character who has a thing in his chest, and that thing is very steampunky.
Yeah. And also were the exhaust things that from the
Right.
one that was steampunky, and there's something else I can't remember right now, but yeah.
Some of them look super cool. There's one where like I don't know why it does this other than to be gross and kind of cool, but like the arm like here splits open and then it's like, ooh, it's like, well, I don't know what you're gonna do with those, but gross.
Like literal scissor hands. Like
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Uh, Interestingly, though, I don't know. I kind of like I like the leather daddy look. I kind of like the Matrix leather trench coat
this episode's weird.
BDSM vibe that the originals have, because these are like none of them. Pinhead, the Hell Priest or whatever, Pinhead has like a skirt thing, but even like the skirt or like a long, because you know Pinhead's got to have a long flowing thing. But even that looks like, is that flesh or is that like clothes? They're all pretty much just naked, but like the skin is just weird things going on all over. Like they look like they have outfits, but it's just like their skin being like, you know, Hellraiser things, right?
Yeah. Randy likes him to have clothes on. He
Muscles.
likes the leather.
I like the leather. No, I mean, it's interesting because, well, with the leather, it's black leather, right? They're dark. In this one, they're not dark, and that's okay for most of the designs, except for when they look super plasticky. They're actually rather colorful. Like the skin's usually very pale, but like there's lots of like kind of blues, and of course there's the exposed muscle, so there's reds. Like they're kind of weirdly colorful, and sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't. I think overall, like the Pinhead design is fine. Again, kind of overdone, and I wanted to the female Pinhead thing, or even all. I logged it on Letterboxd today, even though we watched it a few days ago, and one of the reviews had mentioned they thought it was weird that all the Cenobites seemed genderless, and of course, kind of gender change in a way of Pinhead was kind of a thing that I don't know. I'm actually a little surprised more people I haven't heard more discussion of, but that's fine. But apparently, and I did not know this, but apparently in the books, most of the Cenobites are described as being very like almost genderless, androgynous, with feminine features.
Yeah.
I think including Pinhead.
I think that's why there's been
Yeah.
so little backlash, because all the people who really know Hellraiser are like, just stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so knowing that, like, it's fine. And something that is obviously not talked about because it's a touchy thing, and I'm gonna dive into it again this episode. The actress that plays Pinhead is a trans woman, and I think, and I haven't really heard a lot of people discuss it because I think people are nervous or scared to discuss that because, like, I don't know. The idea is like you're not supposed to distinguish them as not just woman, right? But I think specifically casting a trans woman as Pinhead is kind of an interesting and intentional thing, and adds a little bit of, I don't know,
Almost
whatever.
credibility.
It definitely adds to the like slightly androgynous but more feminine. Occasionally her voice will slip into a much lower register, and that kind of worked for me. Although I will say, and maybe it's kind of the vocal processing, like her take on "We Have Such Sights to Show You" just doesn't work as well as the original. It's something about the way, what was his name? Whatever, something Bradley, Doug Bradley, delivered the original line, and kind of the like reverb they had it in that original movie is so good. So like,
Was that one that he made up, or was it?
I'm pretty sure that's from the books.
Okay, well, I knew there was like one of his famous lines that people say all the time is one that he made up on the spot.
Well, I know in the original, one of the things where is when Frank is like chained up and towards the end of the movie, and he says Jesus wept. That was an improv line.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, Maddie D says Doug Bradley had a voice like no other. I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like, also like how Jesus whipped. Yeah, that's kind of the famous improv line.
It's amazing.
I liked the movie. I gave it 4 stars, although I feel like that's probably a little high. Maybe 3.5 is more appropriate. But just the fact that the last Hellraiser like sequel I watched was I don't know, probably the last sequel they produced, and it was god awful, and it didn't even have Doug Bradley anyway. It had a new Hellraiser guy, and he sucked. I'll take this any day over that.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Thank you. It is amazing, and really because this article that I'm going to share with you, or information about, reminded me of Hellraiser. Because they took some brain cells in a lab dish, and they exhibited sentience by learning to play ping pong. They took the clusters of brain cells, which were not all human. Some of them were from rodents, and they grew them all together, and they were on a sheet that had sensors on it, or not sensors, but electrodes on it. And then they would send signals to the electrodes that the cells could, feel, or they could sense, I guess is the point. And although they don't have a dopamine system, so you can't do like a reward and punishment type thing, because they don't have the reward center, they don't have anything to do that for them. But because of, what was it?
This is how you get Cenobites.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right, because, let's see. I'm trying to, free energy principle. The free energy principle just makes it so that they will be like, oh, there's something happening, let's make that stop happening. So that's what they do. And so all it really takes, they learned how to play ping pong in 5 minutes. The brain cells did, by sending out these neurons to hit the imaginary ball, or the simulated ball,
Okay,
so all you need is sensation, and then a means to act upon or against those sensations, and then you can do that. So it's all about sensation.
I feel like the shock of the story was lost somewhere in translation. Their brain cells in a petri dish or something, like they grow brain cells.
Yes.
And teach it to play Pong.
Yes.
By giving it like some type of shock or sensation or something. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be pleasure or pain. It's just some type of sensation, and you can train it to play Pong. Brain cells. Yes.
And that's the thing with Cenobites, is they don't distinguish the difference between pleasure and pain. It's all sensation.
Yeah. It's a good
Yes. And they're all about it. And apparently so are these brain cells. Or actually, maybe they're not all about it, because they're like, no, stop it! And hit the ball.
Yeah.
Yes, I think you do only need maybe a single brain cell No, you need more than one, because they have to be able to shoot their neurons at each other. That's how you do it. So you need 2, so they can shoot their neurons back and forth.
Whatever. Scientists are growing brains on. It's probably Cassandra on a flat plate brain tissue, and they're just like wired it up, and it's like Pong, or you'll get the shock again.
It puts the lotion in the basket.
Yeah.
It gets moisturized, or it gets the hose.
So, yeah.
And it has big implications for things too, because it means that, even something as small, like an individual cell, has the ability to sense things, which is sentience, which is, the things that make things, I guess, or that maybe that make them have not feelings. Well, I guess, yeah, no, that is exactly feelings. They can feel things. There you go.
Right.
And then
and the note about it, like they can't like there's like not dopamine or anything going in there, so there's not like the sense of like you make them feel pleasure or whatever. It's just
Or
sensation.
satisfaction, even.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of times I feel like when you teach an animal to do a thing, it's like you reward it with something, probably food. And they're like, oh yeah, food, or like get some type of dopamine rush or whatever. And this is just like, no, poke, now react.
Yeah. Right.
I like my super simple, probably
Yeah,
totally inaccurate. Take
No,
on
it's
that.
not. It's not too bad. The only thing is they're working, like they have the brain cells working together, and they like would move the neuron the firing, the neuron firings would move along the thing. So they're making decisions is basically what it amounts to. They're making decisions so that they can affect the outcome of this simulation that's happening. So with making a decision without the yes, no, pleasure, pain, thing that most of us live with, they're just doing it without that, and that's an amazing thing.
Whatever
It's
happened,
freaking amazing. Just be amazed.
these stories. Here's my thing. I feel like, and I know that's not the case because it's different scientists doing different things, and who knows, some studies might not lead anywhere, or they do, and we just don't hear about where they go. But like, this story reminds me of a story from years ago, where they were like figuring out how to write data to, like, I think they were using at the time rat brain tissue or something, like how to store data. What'd they do with that? That was years ago.
Well, they have a strand of DNA that has a bunch of movies on it.
That's even like weirder.
I was just gonna say, there's like probably a rat out there that just has like War and Peace and Pride and Prejudice, just like in its brain, just to see if we could.
If you could,
Yeah.
the internet doesn't work this way, but if you could track back like the internet connections, and like, okay, there's servers, stuff stored here, still here, but where's that go and where's that connect to, and whatever, and you track it all the way back, and it's just like a plug into the side of a mouse.
Yeah.
This is what we've been doing.
All the missing phone logs from the FBI or from the Secret Service, they're in a rat brain somewhere.
Right. Maybe that's what it is. They're like, no, that's where this technology went. Espionage and intrigue.
It's not in the cloud anymore. It's in the brain. Insane in the brain.
But
Yep.
combine that with Melanie's story, and we're going to have David Cronenberg computers. That's what it is.
That's where my
You end up
brain
with-
went too. Yeah.
You end up
It's gonna
with
be
David
some
Cronenberg.
/ whatever that one guy that designs aliens. What's his name?
H.R. Geiger Cronenberg
Yeah, Geiger.
computer.
We have some Geiger Cronenberg nonsense happening.
The inside, it's all like video drone.
Who designed
gross-
Pinhead? Because I wanted to say Geiger was involved in that too, but it might not have been.
I don't know. I mean, it kind of would fit his MO, just
Right.
if anything, the color palette and the like glossy black and
The organic nature of it all.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know why scientists are always doing stuff with brain things anyway. Stop trying to make things that aren't brains do brain stuff. It's just, I mean, stop trying to make brains that aren't brains that can still do brain stuff. Leave them alone.
This is how we get Planet of the Apes too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or at least the new Planet of the Apes. Try to cure Alzheimer's, and you're gonna wind up with sentient apes that can talk.
Right.
Oh, I guess it was Clive Barker himself because he's also a visual artist.
What, is he like a Leonardo da Vinci or something that's just great at everything?
I mean, apparently, he didn't
Was he
direct
involved
too
in
many
the music too? I'm just thinking Carpenter now.
Yeah. But here's an early. Let me pull up a present, share screen. No, what? Sorry. Share
StreamYard's like,
screen.
no, badge of cheapness, fool.
Can I zoom in on here?
That looks like a butcher or something. Oh, okay. I see now.
That's a little rough, but
Oh, yeah, that's not the same. He's got pins everywhere, and he's got dreads.
oh
Right.
yeah, yeah. I wonder what those are. I wonder if they're like, yeah, but it's like the general idea is there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he sent that over to makeup artists, and they're like, "You really want these like pins everywhere?" And he's like, "Nah, it's fine. Just put them in a leather coat."
Just in the head. Yeah. We're like,
Yeah.
yeah, that hair is gonna get stuck in all the pins. Can we just lose the hair?
Okay. Happy Halloween.
He said several weeks early.
Well, you know me. It's been Halloween in my
it's-
head since last
Yeah,
month.
it started
at least.
in September. I forgot.
Yeah.
I've been trying not to go too crazy about it.
It's weird to me that other countries don't celebrate Halloween
It is
much
weird.
at all. Yeah,
Like almost none of them.
I know.
What's wrong with you guys?
Because
It's
they're
the
just
best.
creepy all the time.
That's true. That's true.
Norway's like, no, we live in the cold, man. It's scary all the time.
Yeah.
It's always foggy.
Yeah.
Or
It's
there's
always foggy
actual-
and dark. There's weird noises. We're surrounded by trees. Doppelgangers stealing our children.
You know what a traditional Norwegian dish was? I don't think they do it anymore, but fish that were brined and then buried for like 6 months, and then that's what they eat during the winter. Tasty, isn't it? Freaking nasty, disgusting stuff.
So the point is like they're like, that's something we like. We don't care about your Halloween.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, scary goblins and ghosties.
We're scared of ghosts.
We eat a fish
we
that
live
died
with them.
months ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, because I'm like 78% Norwegian, so I know a bunch of their dishes, and I'm just gonna say I'm glad my family immigrated here because that's disgusting. It's disgusting, and I
Man,
wouldn't
there's some
have it.
dark like Christmas traditions over there. Like
Right,
they're
right.
like the friggin' giant cat that steals. I don't even know what, but it's like scary.
Well, and
Why do
like,
you guys hate your cats over there?
like Dio de los Muertos, they're like, scary dead. We have a parade for them.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
our
yeah.
family. We celebrate
Your
it.
witches aren't nothing compared to our witches. Pay the ghost.
Hey, the ghost.
I read a thing that I don't know if it was. I don't think it was necessarily that holiday, but it might have been. But there's some holiday that they celebrate in Mexico that they didn't even celebrate. But Americans were like, "Yeah, we're gonna film a movie here," and then they started doing it, and then they were like, "So we just do it every year for the tourists." That's the only reason they have that holiday. I'm like, that's ridiculous.
Was that like Cinco de Mayo? Like they don't even really celebrate
Maybe.
Cinco de Mayo?
It could be. I'm not sure.
I feel like that's maybe one of them.
So yeah, I'm done.
That reminded me, I have a YouTube channel that I discovered recently that I want to recommend. Specifically, what is it? Iced? I'll just go to my history. Hold on. Oh, I'm not on the right. So, Jesse, you got to check this channel out sometime.
Okay.
Somebody, I noticed on Twitter, somebody had tweeted a video and whatever. And the video was something like, there it is, Space Ice. Look up Space Ice on YouTube. His videos are great. He does videos almost
So
exclusively.
the channel is Space Ice.
Yeah, Space Ice
Okay.
is the channel. But his videos, he does almost exclusively videos about Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, some Nicolas Cage movies,
Oh, boy.
and Steven Seagal movies. Every Jean-Claude Van Damme movie is the greatest movie of all time, the greatest movie in human history. Every Steven Seagal movie is the worst movie ever made.
Yeah.
And he does like the he does the movie guy voice kind of through the whole thing.
Oh, sure.
But especially some of the Steven Seagal movies, just highlighting how terrible some of them are. But it's a lot of fun. It's like a comedy thing. Most of the videos are like running through like a rundown of the movie. But Space Ice, Maddie D, I feel like that might be something you'd like to recommend that channel. Go check it out. That's
All
it.
right.
That's something
Space
I've been
Ice
watching.
It is.
Yeah. But that's all I got. Jesse, you got anything exciting come up you want to mention?
For, anybody that might see this before Saturday, I'm going to do like a mini con comic book store thing on Saturday from 10 to 4 at Krypton Comics in Omaha. So that's the thing. And then also, I don't know when it will come out, but I did a recording with friend of the show, Lee Searcy. We did our annual Cobra Kai
Nice.
season breakdown thing where we go through all of our old predictions and see what came true and what didn't. And, it's always a good time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that'll be coming out sometime.
Sweet.
Sometime soon, if I record it this week, I really wanted to have it ready this week for when the Halloween movie came out. But on my Super Science YouTube channel, which you can now go to youtube.com/@supersciencemusic, because YouTube added handles recently to certain accounts. So I feel like you need to be like partnered, and Super Science isn't partnered, but since it's like an official music artist station, like I kind of get some of the, like, I don't get monetization, but I kind of get some of the, like, the stuff they have that we can't get on some of our other channels. Like,
it's so weird. It's like with the Google Music kind of thing, like all the things they want to try to build, so they give you some extra features.
But I hope to record a Halloween theme song cover performance. I use air quote. It will be a performance, but like, a one-man band style performance. So like, I play some of the keyboard part, but not all part. I'm triggering some samples and stuff like that. So I want to record that. I had hoped to do it already this week, but I haven't yet. So this weekend or early next week, that should be up on the Super Science YouTube channel. So some John Carpenter cover song. Yeah.
Fun.
It's Halloween time.
Yeah. Spooky season.
Yeah. Melanie, you got anything exciting coming on? I think you muted still.
Oops. Yeah, no, nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to try. Hey, it's a short episode. Thanks, everybody, for watching and listening.
It's a short episode. That's at least the normal length.
Yeah.
At least the normal length. Thanks, Matty D, for watching and listening.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I'm glad you did get a chance to. Matty D, I know he is doing some work from home stuff, so he actually got a chance to put us on and listen in the background and stuff, so that's great. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Grawlixpodcast.com and all that.